Pennsylvania Senate GOP primary race will likely head to a recount. Candidates Dr. Mehmet and David McCormick are virtually tied with thousands of ballots still left to be counted. Oz was endorsed in the race by former President Donald Trump. Both campaigns have hired lawyers and strategists ahead of the recount effort. For more now, I want to bring in David Becker. He is the executive director at the Center for Election Innovation and Research, as well as a CBS News contributor. David, thanks for being here. Remind us, what are the factors that will trigger an automatic recount?
Well, an automatic recount in Pennsylvania happens anytime that the margin between two candidates is less than 0.5%. That would trigger an automatic recount unless the candidate who's behind declines the recount. Here we are well below that margin. I think the latest figures have it at less than 1,000 votes between the two candidates, Oz and McCormick. And there are still a few thousand ballots, by all accounts, out there likely to be counted. So that's going to be completed likely in the next day or so. And then the counties will finalize their count, send it to the state, and the state will likely order a recount probably around Thursday to be completed by June 7th.
Well, among those ballots still being counted are the mail-in ballots because election officials are not actually allowed to process those until Election Day. David, explain why that is.
Well, it's hard to explain why that is because that's something professional election officials of both parties in the state of Pennsylvania, as well as states like Michigan and Wisconsin that have similar restrictions, have been begging their legislatures to fix for some time. The vast majority of states, regardless of how much mail voting there is, allow for pre-processing of mail ballots. That allows them to confirm that the proper voter submitted the ballot. It allows them to give the voter an opportunity to correct any defects and to prevent that voter from voting more than once, even though that happens extremely rarely. So it's a very good best practice that states have adopted, including states run by Republicans like Ohio and Florida. And still the Pennsylvania legislature, along with the legislatures of Michigan and Wisconsin, haven't yet done what the election officials have asked. So this was entirely predictable, and it was in fact predicted.
David, former President Trump has questioned the use of mail-in ballots in this election. How do comments like that create distrust in voting and in democracy? And as someone who advocates for secure elections, how do you combat that type of rhetoric?
Well, first of all, we have to understand that mail balloting has been around since at least the Civil War. It's something that's been relied upon by our men and women who are in our armed services for quite some time. And there are many states, both deeply blue states like California and deeply red states like Utah and Montana, that have vast majorities of ballots being cast by mail. We should also understand that former President Trump himself chooses to vote by mail. He has done so repeatedly, including in the most recent elections, as has his entire family and most of the people in his White House. So certainly voters should understand if you choose to vote by mail, that's going to have integrity, that's going to be secure. But you also have options in many states, Georgia, for instance, which is holding its primary tomorrow. There's widespread in-person early voting. It's very easy to vote early in person in Georgia. And also there will be widespread, obviously, Election Day voting tomorrow.
All right, David Becker, thank you.
Thanks.